Morning, Cindy.
Morning, Chris. Morning, Lisa.
Morning.
Morning. Morning, Dr. Baser.
Good morning. So sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Morning, Tangela. Morning, Kathy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Baser, congratulations on your upcoming retirement. We'll miss you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. It's actually, I spoke with the chancellor last July, and we delayed the announcement partly because there was a 5th-year interim report being reviewed by SAC-COC in December. And so that's why we waited till after they had completed that review. So
That's a good reason.
I did not want me retiring, announcing a retirement to jeopardize that. But I do hope to be back in the classroom near you. So.
Well, it'll be great to hopefully see you around in that capacity.
Morning, guys.
Morning, Caroline.
Good
How are
morning.
you doing, Cindy?
Hmm?
Okay, good. Hey, everybody. I'd like to introduce you to Gina, who just came into the meeting. She's our interim VP and Faculty Senate at Northeast Lakeview.
On camera. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Morning.
Good
Welcome.
Morning.
Hi, Gina.
Okay, so we'll wait on some more people. They may be coming over a little bit late from that truth racial healing
Oh, yeah.
thing. I logged in for the first half hour and then I switched over here. So
Everybody's so quiet this morning.
yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning, Dr. Rayleigh.
Good morning.
Morning, Dr. Rayleigh.
Hey, Cindy. Good to see you.
You too. Thank you. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. We don't have a long agenda item today, so hopefully we can get through pretty quickly, but we do have time for discussion, which we do have an item that we do need to discuss. So the first item on the agenda was welcome back. That's because I forgot to take it off the last agenda item. So we have a new person, so we'll just say welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Approval of notes from the last meeting. Anybody have any corrections, edits? Okay. So we'll pass those. Ad hoc committee updates. The ad hocs are done with their work, so we're on the presentation stage right now, working towards the board, so we don't have any of those. We do, however, have recommendation updates for the individual ones that have already presented. So for the faculty evaluation and platform, Kelly and Ruby, is Ruby here? But Kelly
Yeah,
is
sorry,
here.
it was taking forever for my sound to come on. Apologies. I don't really have anything to update. I know we've requested feedback. We haven't received it yet. But as soon as we receive it, we'll do whatever updates are necessary and be ready to present to the board in February if we can still get on that agenda. Unless it's like something substantial to, substantive enough that we need to like come back to you guys for approval. Any
Okay.
questions or anything?
EFC is working on the response, so you should hear something shortly.
Okay,
Not
thank you,
EFC,
Dr.
SLT.
SLT.
SLT. I'm
Thank you,
not
Dr.
awake yet.
It's an alphabet. It's okay.
And when
Just
they
pick some
said this
letters.
morning at that Truth and Racial Healing that we're adding another acronym, I thought, oh no, oh no. Faculty student mentoring, Judith can't be here today, but she did send an update. She says, the FSM coordinators met on Wednesday. We incorporated the verbal feedback from SLT into our presentation and are looking forward to the opportunity to present our recommendations to the board. We were just waiting for a confirmation of the date. So that's already in the works. Any questions on that? I don't know if I can answer them. Okay. Tenure proposal, Aaron, you got any updates for us on that?
The update, I think, is that we're sort of holding in the balance the evaluation system and tools and seeing how that shakes out with whether it'll be at the board meeting in February. The plan was to have that piece fall first.
Right.
So we don't have, we have not met again with the chancellor. I think at the last meeting we had just met that morning, and we haven't had another opportunity to have that conversation move forward. But the plan still is to present in March, but we want to have the evaluation happen first. So ideally, I think we could push back. We could absorb a month of delay, but more than
Okay.
that, and then we're getting into May and
Yeah.
June. It's less ideal as folks are off contract and so forth. So hopefully we can move forward with, if not March, if we do have the evaluation system pushed to March, then we would go in April. I don't think I think it would be kind of overload to do both of those at the same board meeting.
Agreed.
So our plan is to see how the evaluation, and we haven't gotten our official memo back from SLT, by the way, for tenure, so there's that. But meanwhile, wanting to make sure that whatever happens with the evaluation system and tools matches up so we can cross-reference. And so I've asked Kelly and Ruby to invite me to any of those conversations just to see where we can find synergy there.
Cool.
And Judah has stepped off UFS, so she is still, of course, in the faculty student mentoring, leading that group and still co-chair of the tenure proposal. So they're sort of figuring out how that works with her new role as interim chair, but she is committed to seeing it through.
Thank you. Any questions, comments for Aaron? Okay. So the next item is the status of the SLT response memos. And this is questions mainly that I have for Dr. Baser and Dr. Raley. I've got the dates that we requested the memos. Is there something that we can do to help streamline the process? Or tweak it to make it easier to get back within that 2 weeks of response?
Yeah, that's something that that we're working on, and I think you'll see it in part of the response to you all.
Okay. And are those going to be coming soon?
We
Yeah.
we had a long discussion at SLT just about that, that we needed to give you concrete answers so that we could actually go one way or the other.
Right.
And so that's what we're working on right now, to make sure that we're truly answering what you're asking, and also work on expediting the process on our side.
Okay. So we will move forward slowly so that we can get appropriate input, so we know what to change, because the verbal input is great, but the written input where you've had the chance to have the conversation and get it clear in y'all's minds so that it's clear for us, because that's part of this whole process, is learning each other's languages and,
Right.
you know, systems and timelines and how things work. And so this is a new process for us. This is the first time I think we've ever used it. So it's kind of in the piloting phase. So if we need to do any tweaks, let us know. But thank you for getting on that, because that's really very helpful to us.
If we don't codify things, it creates a moving target.
Yeah.
I know that you haven't experienced that.
No, never. None of us have, no. Okay, so we'll call that in progress. And I will check in with y'all weekly, Dr. Baser and Dr. Riley, just to see how that's going.
And I'm wondering if just the way it worked out this time, where we had like 3 and kind of 3.5 proposals all hit y'all's desk at about the same time, like just one right after another, is a bit of a barrier. And I don't know if there's a way for us to work our process. I know we usually have like 3 of these going so that they kind of space out a little bit more, because I know sometimes that they finish when they finish, and this time they just all finish together. But I can see where that would have definitely caused like overload, while also dealing with the pandemic and all the other, you know. So I don't know if there's a way for us to consider that process in the future, but it might be helpful.
It's a good idea.
Any other comments, questions on the response memos? Okay. Then the next item is discussion on implementation and ownership of ad hoc work after the EFC is finished.
As a preamble to this discussion, I would just like to congratulate everyone who had a hand in the faculty input model being presented to the board as part of the policy changes, and then actually posted earlier this week in procedure. I've mentioned it here because I think that there could be some interaction between these two things. You know, what happens at the end of our ad hoc work and some faculty input happening, perhaps. So just congratulations to everyone, and thanks for all the hard work on getting that through. As far as this question, yeah, I think there are several elements to it, right? There's, you know, so for instance, the end of course student survey, phase 2 just finished, which finishes the whole end of course student survey after several years. So what happens now? You're taking it and implementing. So there's that implementation piece. Is that always something that you're going to be able to do on your own? Seems like that would be a huge amount of work for the faculty fellow to take care of by yourself, whoever's in that position. So what role do EFC or UFS members play in implementation if there's a need? And then we talked last time about the continuous improvement when there's a need to return to update after a couple of years, and then the documentation of all of this, so we know what has happened. I think those are some of the things that I was interested, but I'm sure there are other pieces too.
Well, I was just starting off at the beginning, figuring out which ones that we need to keep and which ones we can pass off to somebody else. Because like with the student leadership that we did the work on that, then we passed that off to the Student Leadership Institute. And they got our work for that. And so it got incorporated into what they were doing. So the EFC doesn't really have anything further to do with that. So if there's already something in place that it makes sense for it to be passed off to, I think it should be passed off. I think it should be institutionalized into the system that we've already got, and let that entity be responsible for whatever that EFC ad hoc was about. But then we've got other things like close to my heart, lab loading, that as part of the ad hoc committees group was an agreement to work step by step to get to 1-to-1. So that had an automatic follow-up, which didn't get institutionalized into the EFC. It's just ironic now that I'm the fellow and the one with the lab loading working on. So I don't know which of my hats I'm working on the lab loading with, whether I'm working with it as my EFC fellow hat or as my ad hoc chair of the lab loading committee. Because that one, once we get to 1-to-1, will be done. So that would make sense for it to stay with EFC because it has a definite stopping point. But the more I think about this, I hate to create more committees, but as this goes on, it will be hard for the faculty fellow to keep up with everything, because we're going to keep getting more and more. And just depending on how many ad hocs we get, there just may not be time. So I guess I want to consider whether this group has the authority to make committees. Like I said, I don't want to have to do that. But if we could have an EFC committee with a lot of people on it that are charged with the responsibility of the continuous improvement. So have like a separate ongoing committee or as needed, because sometimes we don't have ad hocs running. I don't know. I just know that it will eventually get to be a lot for the office of the EFC fellow. So how do y'all feel about having a committee from the EFC just for the purpose of the continuous improvement cycles?
Would
Or
this,
if you want to think about it, that's okay.
Can we think about it
Yeah.
and discuss
Does-
it? I think that would
Does
be
have something to
good.
say?
Well, and what Cindy said initially about overload, I agree with, and that there should be organizations within the institution, whether at a college or across the district, because we've had this discussion many times, and Cindy hit the nail on the head. We're eventually going to get buried with old stuff, and we won't be able to move forward with anything new because we're continuously reviewing. Now, the idea of a subcommittee or an ad hoc committee that's standing to look at things that we've done before, that's something we hadn't discussed before, and I like that idea. But to me personally, I think as part of the ad hoc group's work, we've talked about in past charges about what we think the implementation should be, and also who should take ownership of it. And also if we believe that there should be a cycle of improvement of every year, every other year, that should be ingrained in when the implementation is done. Whoever is taking ownership of that cycle of improvement, just like they look at improvement across the entire organization. So I don't think it should be our role to do the cycles of improvement and looking at things continuously, but maybe having a set, like in 5 years, in 3 years, in a certain period of time, do we want to have a committee look at something we've done in the past? Because if something is needed to be changed, implemented, upgraded, updated, or a completely new ad hoc is needed, I think the charge should then come from SLT, from the board, from UFS, like it does normally, saying, okay, we see that this has been working, or it hasn't been working, or it needs improvement. And this is something the EFC really should take a look at, bring it back as a new charge, but I don't want to say don't saddle us with continuously monitoring everything we've ever looked at or anything we've ever decided. So that's my 2 cents anyway.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm wondering if it might be a good idea to have, like, you know, how some of us, you know, we all take on, like, yeah, I'll chair that out ad hoc, I'll chair this one, have someone chair at the beginning of each year. I'll take responsibility for going through the charges we have and start recommending ones to close out completely. Like, this is closed, we are finished, we're not touching, you know, next time this gets touched, it's gonna be because someone put forth a new proposal for it. Or something like with, like, say, your lab loading, Cindy, which I know has like that kind of every 2 years, we're supposed to be revisiting it. Go, hey, it's the 2 years, we're gonna put someone on this. We're, you know, until it's closed, because, you know, like you said, the lab loading will eventually hit the 100% and then it'll be closed, hopefully. But I think that might be as a thing we look at, is to have someone agree to take that on as kind of, you know, I'm not chairing an ad hoc, I'm chairing this I don't want to call it a backlog, because it's not really a backlog, but kind of this continuous process of seeing when things are ready to close. Because I agree that we shouldn't keep things forever. That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so put some thought into this. We'll discuss this again at the next meeting. Just anything's on the table. I mean, just come up with some ideas that we think will work. Y'all have been on this committee long enough. You know how we work. You know how the colleges and the district work. So we ought to be able to hopefully find something to make it work smoothly for everybody and not put too much work on any one group. Okay, any other comments, questions about the implementation right now? Just keep that in the back of your head. Think about it. Next item, Board of Trustees presentation. There is none at this time because Aaron presented on Tuesday. Thank you so much, Aaron, both for the presentation and for the nice words. I was listening.
Oh, good. Great.
And for hanging in there in a really long meeting.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That was a long one. It was lively in there.
For a while it was. I was getting the popcorn.
Yeah, right. Woo.
But everything worked out.
Mhm. I had just a thought about this question of this continuous improvement question.
Okay.
And I don't want to, you know, we don't need to talk another hour on it, but you know, if this is something that is a bigger conversation than this meeting, you know, maybe we can internally charge ourselves to have a group look at that and come up with a couple of different ideas. You know, an ad hoc to figure out the continuous improvement. I think we can all bring our ideas, but if we're not landing on something quickly, then that might be a way to tackle that without using up all of our meeting time on you know, brainstorming and
Agreed.
conversation.
Well, and this just brought an idea to my head. Are we talking about continuous improvement of the charges after they leave us? Or are we talking about our internal continuous improvement of this organization to streamline or improve our processes, or both?
Well, that's the assessment, which already happens every year, I believe.
Right, March.
And I think they're related, certainly, but I think that we're talking about the continuous improvement of things we've already worked on. So for instance, you know, end of course student survey, in our recommendations, it says we should look at this again in 2 years and see how it's going.
Mm-hmm.
So we just put that on our calendar. You know, we've kind of set it up now that we have to look at this again in 2 years.
And are we looking at whether or not the recommendations were implemented as written, or are we looking for, were they implemented and is there something else we can improve? are we doing, which one are we doing, or are we doing both? Because
I think we assume that it's implemented correctly, and then it's looking at whether the recommendations, I guess whether they're working is a valid question. But we had in the end of course student survey particular things to look at, such as, you know, are the questions appropriate for workforce? Are we getting good data? Is there a different set of questions that we should be asking people who are in an online learning environment? Because right now we just have one set of questions. You know, how is it going with the response rate? Is there anything we can do to improve that? And I think it's looking at trends and trying to figure out the next step with improvement. So,
because I'm just worried that we're like, if we're looking at whether the implementation was done according to the recommendations, that's one thing. But if we start talking about how well is it working, that's, to me, that's broaching on another ad hoc for another charge. That's my thing. Is like, I agree that we should say how, you know, did what we say happen. Now, granted, we're a recommending body. We can't say this is going to happen or else. All we can say is this is what we recommend due to this exhaustive research that this group has done, and we don't want that research to go for naught. So could you please do this? Especially if SLT has said, yes, that's a good idea. If the chancellor's like, that's a good idea. If the board said that's a good idea, then it should be implemented. But yeah, I'm just, again, because since we've had discussion more than once through different iterations of the EFC, and even when we, I think in the planning phases, I think you guys had the discussions. I wasn't on the build team, but I think that I think that we just need to be clear as to what we are following up with and about. That's just what I'm just worried that, again, that we're going to get bogged down with rehashing the same things again and again and again. But I do agree with everyone that it is important that we do follow up. I just want to make sure we know exactly what we're following up about and what our next steps and plans of action would be. But like Cindy said, bring ideas. So let's think, so we can think about it. But I'm just worried about that. Okay, I'm really getting off my soapbox now.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more complex it gets, the more tentacles kind of get wound into other things. And yeah. So
Yeah, but
I
I think
appreciate you
limiting
helping
our
out.
role.
I'm sorry?
I think limiting our role in that regard, just checking to see were the recommendations that were accepted actually implemented, and then just reporting that out with a reminder of what the recommendations were, and then let somebody else or some other, like you said, ad hoc committee deal with if there is a problem with its implementation. Make that a charge. I agree.
Okay.
Good thinking.
Okay, moving on.
Ruby
that
just
you-
said something.
Ruby.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry. Yes, Ruby.
we can barely hear Ruby though.
Any better? We can
Okay,
hear
I can hear
you.
you a little better.
I only had my question was along the lines with what Chris said. Since I'm new to, well, not new to EFC, but new to UFS, my question is, when something is completed, is it up to UFS to give EFC a work plan that says, okay, go back and look at this again? Like, is it, I just need to know how that works. You know, does it stay with us at UFC, or would another work plan have to be developed, letting us know, okay, go back and check on, and of course, survey implementation, etc. That's my only question.
Okay, I didn't get all of that. So what about the implementation?
Ruby,
Any
can you
ad hoc?
chat?
Say it again,
Kathy?
Kathy.
Can you type that in the chat?
Yes, ma'am. Let me type it real quick.
I have another question also, like to what extent we should also keep in mind the faculty input model for all these processes an implementation. It's something we need to consider. Like sometimes I feel like we have pieces all over, and I don't know if there has to be an alignment as well. I don't know.
I think defining our lane is going to be what we need to do with that new policy in place. Because they do different things. The policy and procedure, the PPAC input, faculty input model, deals with policy, change to policy, new policy, if I understand it correctly. EFC does not have those limitations to the new stuff. We work on whatever's there. So it's not going back and getting input from the faculty in that way about a new procedure, no policy. We work with what we have already. And so making sure that things get directed to the correct place where they'll be most appropriately looked at is going to be helpful in defining our lanes. And so it's going to take some time for the new faculty input model to get into place to see how that works in real life. I know y'all planned it well. I'm not denigrating your work at all, but I also like to see it work once too. Everything. I like proof of concept.
Yeah, I think there's a question maybe about like, and I think you kind of answered it just now, but you know, if we're going to use the faculty input model on something we're working on, do we do it while we're working on it in EFC, or after it's done in the implementation and there's like a change to policy, and then that gets sent out to after we're done with it, because the implementation involves a change in policy? I think that's what you're saying, is it's like,
Right.
it's outside. We don't use it while we're in the EFC process. We can
Right,
get faculty input, but it's not that input model. It's not the PPAC thing.
right.
I think that's right. So I see Ruby wrote, what is the protocol? Would EFC have to develop another work plan to have EFC look at how the implementation was rolled out? I think that's what we're trying to figure out, and that's what we need to come up with a plan. It sounds like we're trying to figure out the most efficient way to not have a backlog of things that we always have to keep looking at, you know, in EFC just by default, because we're continuously improving everything we've ever worked on. So I think that would be one model of how it goes about. The UFS could be a branch of continuous improvement saying, hey, EFC, we need to look at this again.
Yeah.
That'd be one way to do it, but I don't think we have a great definitive answer just yet, but that would be one way.
So let's keep thinking about it and talking amongst ourselves and see what synergizes out of those conversations, and we can approach this again at the next meeting perhaps.
Okay. Then moving on, ad hoc presentation. We don't have one. Our next meeting is Friday, February 11th from 10 to noon. Hope to see you there. Have a good weekend. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
Everybody, thank you, Cindy.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank you,
ML.
Cindy.
Now that ML's here.
Hi, Kathy.
Yeah.
Bye, Kathy.
I'll get on camera real quick so I can. Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Rayleigh.
All right. Bye-bye. Oh, wait, ML, should we talk about the other thing?
Sure.
You know, the other thing. I don't even
What
know.
other thing?
Oh, are we set for the election?
Yeah, so here's what I did. I first put the officers together in a quiz, and then I was like, no, we need to do the president election first, so we'll know who's on the ballot for the vice
Right.
president.
Yes.
So we're gonna do it in real time. It's a Canvas quiz. it'll just take me a second behind the scenes to tally up. And then I'll just edit. I have all three of you on the vice president ballot, but you know, whoever wins president, I'll take them off the vice president ballot, and then
Yeah.
I'll open that, send it out, and then people will do it in real time. So we'll
So,
leave.
I mean, I would, man, if they have already said that
They
whoever,
both said yes.
then I think I may just withdraw because as I've slept on it now, I'm like, man, this is great. We have people who are interested, and like I could, you know, be helpful. But like, I think just the more people who have done this, the better, right? I mean, that's really
Yeah.
the deal. So
Yeah, I'm
not-
with you. Like, of course I want you to be leadership. You're like a badass leader. But I don't want to discourage anyone who's like upcoming. Like, yeah, if you want to do it, like you should do it. And I
Exactly,
know
that's
that
it.
the overlap of you being vice president, you could be like mentorship. But honestly, Adam wasn't in any official role and he was my mentor. I just kept asking him and he just kept answering.
Yeah, and as we know, it can still be part of a EFC ad hoc
Ad
committee.
hoc,
you
right.
know? I mean, there's not, you know, maybe not a, I guess, I would presumably finish out whatever tenure stuff there is to do. So Cindy,
That's real optimistic. You might still be on tenure for another year. You might not
Yeah. I would expect that. But as we have people interested in both president and vice president, which is like, great.
Wow.
So I had considered originally, when we only had one person, stepping down to vice president, which I would continue here, but in EFC, but now we have another person, and they have both said that if they are not elected president, that they would be interested in vice president. And they're both like, you know, Steven Rodriguez, who was on the year-round schedule team, and Terry Demas, who's our curriculum chair. So I mean, they're both great. So like I'm like, hey, let's have these.
Yeah.
Let's have them both, and then that would mean that I would be off EFC, as you know, but I'd still
be
be
with
working.
me, Cindy. How many years have we been on EFC together?
Oh, back in the day.
I know. I'm always talking about the design model. I'm like, I wasn't even there. I came in the next year, but
Oh yeah, that was the year that we had, was it Mary Flanagan?
Oh yeah.
oh,
all those things.
yeah. We had
And
her a
remember
lot
all
for a while.
the professional development we used to get? Were you at that one at Hardburger Park with Jackie Clonch and the other one where they asked what tree your problem was?
Yes. I have to say that was a little out of my bounds. I
Yeah.
can be pretty hippie sometimes, but I
Oh,
was
me
not.
too.
I was not writing poetry about my tree problems. I just
No.
couldn't get there.
That's funny.
Now, I did go out and buy the little symbol thing, the symbols that make that nice tone when you get them. I did do that because that I like that. So I got that from the development.
Oh, that's cool.
I remember I got paired with one of the facilitators and she was doing like a kumbaya type of thing. And she asked me a question and I was like, the patriarchy. And she was like, that's not really like, that's not what we're here doing. I'm like, we're not smashing the patriarchy. She's like, we're opening up and sharing. I'm like, oh, okay. I think they wanted tears. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
They didn't want to hear like,
Man, I missed out. I missed out on all this stuff. I mean, I've never had any tree
oh
hug
man.
ceremony.
If I get nostalgic, if I think back, Cindy and I have had some of the weirdest Senate times together. We had some real outliers, some interesting personalities, some coming from
Oh, my, yeah.
NBC, some coming from PAC. Some cool meetings.
Well, cool. That was my only question. Is if so, we're just
Yeah, I think we're ready.
Got it handled. That's amazing. So thank you for doing
Yeah,
that.
we'll do that.
And yeah, I have Dean Ayala. I told him to just like say hello and beat it, you know. So he's gonna.
He
be
can
at the very
stay if he
beginning.
wants to.
Well, I didn't know because like you know how people are, and then there was a whole thing of like Terry. You know, I didn't want to make anything.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
uncomfortable,
Okay.
But I just told him that usually we don't have administrators unless they've been invited. But we better be at your meeting.
Hey, they have a dean's meeting
Administrators.
behind closed doors. That's
Yeah,
okay.
exactly,
Faculty
yeah.
meeting is fine.
So he's just gonna say hello, and he was like, "Hey, I don't want to be at your meeting any longer than you want me there." You know, he was cool with that. So anyway, but that's
And we get to celebrate that the procedure's up.
Yes. That
We
is
will-
awesome. Congratulations.
So happy.
y'all.
Yeah, wow. I mean,
It's made my week.
it's up.
Do you
it's
think that there's
official.
other faculty, at least since Leslie era, who have drafted a board procedure? I think we might be the first group.
Yeah,
Could be. And you know,
Maybe
what
before
was cool?
Leslie is what I'm suggesting, but not since Leslie.
I'm making a list of the procedures along with the rubric that justifies them being on the list of policies that require faculty input. So it was kind of cool to put on there to add, like, what are we missing? I was looking through it, and I added B.5.3 point whatever. It's like that very procedure, like, ooh, that's a new one. I'm not sure what the rubric is, but
And you know
everything.
what?
And as I just said, everything, all the criteria apply to this one.
We got some radical kind of stuff on there if we were able to utilize it correctly, because the list that I drafted of stuff that relates to faculty is like everything.
Well, I was
Not that we want our fingers in everything, but if there's something that is very pressing
Can you
in
help
the
me with this for
district, we
just
can
a
use
second?
it to
Y'all
say,
got
we need to put on that.
Y'all got a second? Hold. Can I share my screen? Because I was working on this and I was a little somewhat like stuck. And sorry to if you got other stuff to do, Cindy. I don't mean to.
We're like, we're gonna use your Zoom.
You know, I mean, I don't know if you have another meeting to get to. Oh, wait a second. Didn't we have a 2-hour meeting too? But anyway, I know you've got stuff to do. But if you don't mind, and I
don't
can get
mind.
on another thing with ML here. But so I'm doing this thing and doing the rubric criteria. The ones that are kind of hard are things like I don't know, like even pay.
Yeah, faculty assignments.
So faculty assignments. Some of these, promotion, demotion, progressive discipline, would that be under faculty advancement or lack
think
thereof,
so.
right? Just
Yeah.
like, and then
And did you see the one that got in there about just campus life in general? I thought that one was going to die in the water. It's in there.
it's in there. So like that's a whole other thing. Like I don't have anything listed under that rubric here. I don't know which ones to add for that. So I don't know if you want to take a look at this and add things, as like you got nothing else to do.
Yeah,
But,
and
like,
I
I'm
mean,
a little
again, I don't mean to suggest we need our fingers in everything, but stuff like I don't know, grievances for students or the freedom of speech procedure, like those things, I think we could provide some valuable input.
Yeah, I think that that's right. So I mean, I think that this is missing some things. Well, like even like tuition and reimbursement for employee and child dependents. Like, what's that? Faculty assignments, faculty
Or
development,
campus life,
campus life.
because like if certain employees or whatever get reimbursed and others don't, it's an ethical dilemma that affects the campus life.
Like morale.
Yeah.
Campus life, but that as it relates to students.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know, but I think that one.
I don't know. There's some weird gray areas here. I think pay schedule makes sense with, but some of
Wait.
the perks.
Tuition reimbursement would be faculty advancement, because some of our folks are pursuing higher degrees or more graduate hours for promotion for their advancement, and they're going to get reimbursement for that.
Okay.
Maybe the child one isn't, but
Okay. So I don't know. I'm working on this thing, and like I'm sure I'm missing things. We're missing things, but like
just put everything on there.
but I have to put a rubric on it. I can't just like put everything on there and then it's like, oh yeah. So the campus life issue, like I don't have anything for that right now. I think I've got everything else represented, and it's not like I'm just trying to tick them all off. I'm just trying not to miss anything. And obviously this is a whole like rubric and
Well, how about let's at
criterion,
least
and
make
don't have
sure we
any-
get stuff like the non-discrimination policy of student code of conduct, like something like that. I really think we should get on there for campus life.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I have faculty code of professional ethics. I don't think I have the student code of conduct on here, so that should add that. Honestly, there's not that much from the student section, really.
Yeah, we need to look through those. again, we're not trying to overstep our bounds, but like, for example, if for some reason someone tried to like say, we're gonna get rid of our, non-discrimination policy, we would of course want to like be up in arms. And now we have a pathway to do that because we have a process that's in procedure.
That anybody can ignore at any time.
We're on a high here this week.
But yeah, isn't it great? The power we wield. All right, let's go. I'm working.
But
on
yeah, I'd be happy to, if you want to send that over to me, I'll be happy to just poke around and see if there's anything that sticks out as maybe we want to put on there.
it. Okay, that sounds good. I'll get as far as I can. I'll send it out for your perusal and everyone else. All right, well, I'm gonna run on. Bye. Thanks, Cindy.
Bye.
You're
See you
welcome.
soon.
Bye.
Ed.
For hanging out
Bye,
after.
Cindy.
No problem.
All right.
Hey, Cindy,
Hmm.
my cat is getting a radioactive iodine treatment on Monday.
Why?
His thyroid,
Oh, no.
but it's actually not invasive. Like it's the least of all treatments I could imagine. It's just a pinprick. That's it. But the
Oh,
hard
wow.
part is because of the laws around radiation.
Uh-huh.
Like basically they're not treated like when humans get this type of treatment. They're treated like once the radiation is in the cat is waste, like radioactive waste. So it can't be in contact with the public until its levels are like really down. And so he has to stay there for 5 days.
Oh,
And he hates the
no.
vet. But it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. Because there's no choice. The thyroid meds were hurting his liver. So
Oh.
either I take him off the thyroid meds and his thyroid goes wild and deteriorates his kidneys, or I leave him on the meds and his liver deteriorates.
Yeah.
So of two bads, it was the lesser evil. So Alessandra and I keep calling it camp. Like we can't bring ourselves to talk about that he's gonna be like at a vet. So we're like, yeah, when you go to camp, when he gets home
Right.
from camp, he's going on an adventure.
Yes. An extended play date.
But I've gone on trips and he stayed here. But other than that, I haven't been separated from him for long periods of time for like 17 years. Like,
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't board him. He's like, we just.
Yeah, that's how it is with me and my cat. You know, if I have to leave her overnight somewhere, it's like, y'all have a video stream that I can log into with the
I love
camera
it.
on my cat.
Yes. Yeah, I always have people come here. He's comfortable at home. So,
Yeah.
but he's gonna be fine. The good thing about the I guess not good, but the radiation aspect of it is he's isolated. He's not in the, when they board him, they put him like stacked so they smell all the smells. He's gonna be alone, away from every other pet. They say yes, they hate it, but they get used to it really easily, and then it'll be fine.
He's gonna be so mad at you.
I know, but then he'll forget. It'll take less than 24 hours and then he'll forget and we'll be back to fine. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. A
No.
whole 5 days from Monday till next Friday? What am I gonna do in this house without my cat?
Yeah. Well, at least you'll have work to keep you busy. At least it's not
That's
over the
true.
weekend. That would be
That is-
bad.
That is true. That is very true. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Poor thing. Do they tolerate it well normally?
Yeah, in fact, they say there's no side effects, and 98% of all cats who get this injection have their thyroid cured forever. So honestly,
Wow.
I'm not going to kick myself too hard, but I am kind of kicking myself that when he first got diagnosed with hyperthyroidism, they were like, really, I want you to consider this treatment. And when they said 5 days, I was like, nope, don't want to hear
Yeah.
anything else. But honestly, now I'm like, this sounds way easier than giving him a pill every day and all these other complications. Like this seems fine.
Yeah.
But
It'd
when
be a long
when he-
5 days.
I know. And I'm like, I want to ask the vet, how often is too often to call? Like, you really need to give me.
You need to
A
give me
number.
boundaries.
Yes. Like, is it 2 times a day? Is it 3 times a day? Like, how often is too often?
I hear
But
you.
no, I highly recommend them, especially for elderly cats. It's the Alamo Feline specialists,
Okay.
and she's the only board certified feline specialist in South Texas, even not in San Antonio, like in all of South Texas. And it's just like day and night because he's terrible at the vet. Well, here's the thing. I thought he was terrible at the vet, but he's just not had vets that are like, know how to deal with cats, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had to be sedated since he was a kitten until I met this doctor. She can't do much, but she can do an exam and get blood without sedating him. And I'm just like,
Wow.
really? She's like, yeah. She told me most vets are just either scared of cats or don't like cats, and they don't really want to deal with them. My old vet's answer to everything was like, unless he's dying, keep him home because he hates being here so much. And I'm like, okay, but he's like elderly. Like, I think he needs to see you sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Um,
at least I know he's in good hands. Like, they'll figure it out if he
so
goes
where they're
wild.
located.
That's the unfortunate thing for me. It's not that convenient. It's on 281 and almost 1604. It's off the
Okay.
feeder of 281. But her
Are
name
you
is
from
Dr.
Houston?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Because usually most Houstonites say theater.
Oh, it's from my mom. She's from Houston.
Okay, that I got it from my parents who are both from Houston. So that's how I knew.
Service Road, Access Road,
Access, no, feeder road. It's the
feeder.
feeder.
The feeder. I love it. But yeah, her name is Dr. Rustine. And she's great. She even clipped his nails away
Wow.
the other day. I was just like, are you some sort of wizard? Well, anyways, it's good to talk to you. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good. I can't
I
believe
think-
you were tuned into the board meeting that night, but I'm happy you were. I'm all texted.
Yeah. But I tell you, I took the next day off of work too. And I slept until 2:00 in the afternoon,
Oh, you needed it.
evidently.
That's good.
Yeah.
Need rest.
Made the whole day go by real quick, but like, what do you mean it's already 10 o'clock?
Oh.
Yeah, but no, I'm doing okay. My sister's being helpful with my mom's stuff, so that's better than what she was like with my dad. So
Oh, that's good.
It's
Is she
good.
older or younger than you?
she's younger.
Oh, okay.
There's 9 years between us.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, so I'm like a second mom to her.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Glad she has you.
yeah. Me too. I'm glad I have her.
And she's local? Or
Yeah,
no? Oh, that's good.
yeah. I mean, local in the fact that she lives by Helotes and I live on the northeast side, so it seems like I could get to, San Marcos quicker, but
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no kidding. Oh, well, I'm gonna miss being on EFC, but I'm sure I'll find my way back.
yeah.
An ad hoc, or I'm not putting off Senate leadership forever. I just really need to take a break
I hear you. I did it
for
for 3
myself,
years.
but also for everyone else. I don't want to be a dictator. I've
Right.
been going at it for 5 years now. That's good.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll send good people your way. Terry's great. She was our finalist candidate for dean.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
The college did not go with her,
That's a shame.
which I think is bad for our college, but our new dean is fine too. We had really great finalists, like anyone would have been a
Okay.
good dean, but I think she was the best. And now she's stepping into the Senate presidency, likely. I mean, I don't know what'll happen in our election, but
Right.
I suspect. So that'll be good.
Sounds like we're gonna have a strong voice. That's good. Not that y'all
I
haven't
hope
been a
so.
strong voice. Y'all have been a very strong voice. And
Too strong at times, huh? No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. But yeah, we'll see.
yeah,
Feels early, but I'm so glad we do our elections that early. It just makes it so much easier.
yeah.
You go into the summer knowing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We changed ours to March simply because of the changes going on at the district level with the leadership with the UFS and EFC. So that
Yeah.
you'd have time to prepare and hand off smoothly
And even
responsibilities.
release time. I feel like we need to be sending requests for release in earlier and earlier and earlier and earlier. Like, you barely get into spring and they're like, what release do you want for fall? I'm like, no, not one.
Yeah.
What release do you need for fall? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. That seems a long ways away.
You can't even tell me my schedule till the day before the semester begins, but
My department is particularly challenging about that. The English department I'm in, not the humanities one.
okay.
But I learned it's because they have a different scheduling strategy than everyone else in the entire. They just throw all of the classes out there, then cancel them all, and then add back after. There's no like, why don't we do a medium ground and we can cancel and add? It's like throw them all, cancel them all, and then rush to put some more back in.
Okay, not the strategy I would choose.
I know. Not the strategy for everyone's security. I'm always like, I don't know. Y'all have as good guess as me is what I'm teaching.
Yeah. Our department's pretty good about that. Getting everybody, because our numbers stay so stable in the math
That's good.
department, it's pretty easy. No, I don't want to say easy because scheduling is in no way easy. But he just puts in the one from last spring because those are the ones that made last spring. And so we figure those are the ones they're going to make this year. And then if some of those need to be canceled, fine. If we need to add some others, fine.
Yeah.
But we look at what we did in the past and that worked, and we're in similar situation. So it should work again.
Yeah, we just keep, honestly, our enrollment keeps going down. Overall as a college, and then also our literatures have just died. I mean, we only have 5 to 8 literature courses a semester for the entire college.
Wow.
And then because the overall enrollment's down and the number of hours our students are taking is down, our 1301s and 1302s, which is our bread and butter,
Right.
writing 1 and writing 2, they're down too. So it's like,
Oh no.
yeah, it's rough. And we have adjuncts who, and I understand, I was an adjunct, you know, like that's not something that I don't understand how it's exploited. Like I
Right.
totally get it. But I don't think they fully grasp it. We don't want to take their classes. We are obligated by contract to have 5 classes. Like if we
Right.
had the choice, we would do something else than take your class, but we don't really have a choice. So I hate that causes, you know, unspoken
Yeah.
animosity. Like I didn't take your class. I have to teach 5 classes and you had one and I didn't.
Yeah. And
Not-
unfortunately, that's the reality.
Yeah. But then, of course, once enrollment picks up, we're going to be scrambling,
Mhm.
like, come back, come back, come back, come
Please
back.
come back. All those bad things we did to you, forget about those. We'll treat you nice.
Yeah, seriously.
I
Well,
know we kicked
anyway.
you out of the family. We're bringing you back in.
I know. And then some are like, oh, I found a new family. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see if our enrollment picks up. I really hope it does. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to go get ready for this Senate.
Okay, I'm gonna go to my department meeting since I can make it now.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Math.
I like my department, so
That's good.
Yeah.
That's always good. Okay, well, see you soon, Cindy. Have a good
take
one.
care.
Bye.